What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Den Dialogues. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and I'm super excited to share my conversation with Dan LaMorte. Dan was here at the Den a little over a week ago, and he crushed it, and then he was nice enough to sit down and have a conversation with me. We covered all kinds of things from, his ultramarathon running and his extremes in pursuing stuff like that to comedy and how he got started. Early, young, he got a spot at the Comedy Cellar in New York, and then lost it, and then got up to 350 pounds, and told me stories, really opened up about a lot of things about his family, so I can kind of get a sense of why he's become the comedian he's become and where he's going, which I think he's definitely going to be in this game for a while. He's been in it about a decade, and I think he'll be in it decades longer. But also why he does ultramarathons and why he strives. He told me some crazy stories about his dad and being in the Guinness Book of World Records, and just really fascinating guy. Really cool to open up and chat a little, go a little deep with some of these things. So I really appreciated him doing that. I hope you guys enjoy this. Please check him out live. His tour dates are at danlamorte.com. You can find everything there. He's going to be at the Comedy Store in LA soon, at the Main Room, but he's got a ton of other dates, so check him out. You can find all his stuff at danlamorte.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We're growing here. We want to keep bringing you better and better guests, and your like and subscribe means a lot. So without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with Dan LaMorte. So you definitely don't like if there's a rip in the knee, because I always get rips in the knees in my jeans. I don't know why.
No, I don't like. I've never had a rip in the knee. I don't know. I get it on
It's always your
the crotch. Yeah, this particular pair is the only. It's a flimsier material.
That's so weird.
It's an athletic fit.
So it's literally. I mean, it's just maybe the way you're shaped or something.
I don't know. I think I think my legs are not normal sizes because of running.
Yeah.
There's very weird muscles in different places. So I think maybe it just rips through something. I don't know. I don't think I have groin muscles, though.
I know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Most people, you have
I
big
have inner
quads.
thigh biceps.
Your, upper thighs are, massive, and then they go down.
It's. I don't know what's going on there, but maybe there's better jeans I could buy.
Oh, dude. Do we have the same watch?
Garmin. This one's a Phoenix 7.
Mine's a Phoenix 8.
Oh, shit. I didn't even know the 8 was out. That's so cool.
I just got it recently, and you know what? I don't use it to its full capability. You probably make...
I love this. Yeah. This thing's great.
It's so cool. I mean, they can do so much. Do you use it to its, full capability? I mean, do you use the GPS and stuff portion?
So, on the trail running component of it, because you could set yourself, a normal run or a trail run or an ultra run or a treadmill run. So, if on a trail run... The GPS, I call it a Hansel and, what is it, Hansel and Gretel? Hansel, the German tale where the kids left the breadcrumbs in the woods.
Yeah. Hansel and
Gretel.
Gretel.
It leaves little breadcrumbs. So you could, there's a certain feature you look and it has a whole red line of exactly
dots
where you started. So you
okay.
could just trace that back. So I've gotten lost sometimes in the woods and I've used that.
That's cool.
But I have friends who really use this to the full capability, but I just use it to track I do step tracks, running, VO2 max. I guess I get a good use out. I look at the metrics every day of it.
What is VO2 max?
No idea.
I wasn't expecting that.
It's. I know it's important. I have a very good one, but and it's increasing. But it's from what I understand, it's how long you could run at your max effort. VO2 max determines that. For instance, the best marathoner is this guy, Eliud Kipchoge. Today was his retirement race in the New York City Marathon. 41 years old. He still ran a 2:17 or something crazy. But his VO2 max is apparently through the roof. And when he broke the world record, he has the record for the marathon.
Okay.
When he broke it, he kept his heart rate at 180 the whole time, which is crazy. That's redlining. But that's because his VO2 max. The higher the VO2 max, the more you could stay in the red line.
So he's pushed his VO2 max up. So it's I thought it was something to do with blood oxygen level.
It's blood oxygen, and something about I think it's literally how the body turns oxygen into energy, but I could be speaking out of my. I just know the higher the number, the better.
Yeah.
And it does improve with training, and running fast helps it.
Yeah, and they say that that's like also a good indicator of longevity.
Yes, higher VO2 max, longer life for sure. They say.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I throw I always say I'm the healthiest, most unhealthy person. So I think I throw a wrench into the VO2 max shit.
Did you go running today?
I did.
Nice.
I ran a little over 8 miles on the Chicago Riverwalk. I went yesterday on the Riverwalk as well.
That's
Yeah,
great,
it was awesome.
man.
I loved it.
It was a pretty
lot of people.
beautiful day, right? Crisp.
Beautiful day. I went out in shorts and a t-shirt, which is always nice to do that in November, like not cold at all. It's just, I wish it was a little bit colder because there was a lot of pedestrians out there, and there's parts of the Riverwalk that are like, it's the runner's fault. Like, the people should be walking and enjoying themselves, but you then need to navigate your way. Like,
It's everything. Bikes,
Yeah.
rollerblade.
like, I see some runners, they still like keep their actual form as like, I'm very respectful. I go like this. I'll keep running fast and I'll put my arms to my side so I could squeeze through people. The only time I don't keep running, I learned about myself on the Riverwalk today, is if there is a child in the way, I do slow down because I feel like they move quicker, and the last thing you want to do is to run over a kid.
Totally.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
But no. Get out of the way, kid. I'm trying to PR.
Exactly. I'm not like one of those crazy guys. Like, I give the pedestrians, I want people to be out enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I saw something that you posted recently where I thought it was really cool. You were running like in the forest, and you were wearing just, I don't know, something you would see somebody wear like going to the grocery store. You had some like crappy shoes on, not even running shoes, and you were just like, the point was like, you were like, I'm doing 15 miles out here on my favorite like trail hill kind of thing, back and forth. I'm like, running is whatever you want it to be. You do. You don't have to like get fancy shoes. You can
you can do whatever you want. I mean, I will be honest, those are Hoka Speed Goats. They're a really good trail shoe, but I have a tendency to destroy them immediately. They get holes in them right away. And my point was just kind of like, if you have stuff with holes in it, it's fine. Like, I don't buy like the nice jackets and stuff, but I have found there's a fine line for like a training run. It's like, you could do whatever you want. That's why I love running. There's no entry. It's just go out the door. You can realistically do it if you're not caring about getting hurt in any shoe and any kind of attire. It's like when I started to do like long distance races and stuff, and I took that same mentality into it. You learn that like, if it's the middle of the winter and you're running a 50-mile race and it's 20 degrees out and pouring rain and you're wearing a cotton sweatshirt, you will drop out of the race, because there's no moisture wicking. You're a popsicle after 25 miles. Right. So it's like, that tough mentality is good or whatever, but like, I've dropped out of races because of my stupidity on gear before. So like, I think training run, you could just do it. I always picture like, my dad was a big Rocky fan. So like, my earliest memories of running is Rocky in the gray sweatpants, gray sweatshirt, running through the streets of Philly. Like the food vendor throws him, I think it's like an apple or an orange or something, and he just eats it on the run. Like, so that's my idea of running, is like that dirt bag, cotton sweatshirt. Yeah, just
roll out of bed.
Exactly.
Kind of like 5 a.m, gritty, like grab whatever, old Converse shoes you have.
Exactly. And as a comedian whose hobby is like, and hobby's like such a weird word, because that's the word I have to use, because I'm not a professional long distance runner, but at the same time I train as if I am. But like, so the word hobby, I wish I had like a different word. But the thing about like being a comedian who that's your hobby is like, there's late nights. There's, I've had years of partying where like, I'm also a runner. Like right now I'm a relatively like, no drinking and stuff kind of guy, but there have been times where I've, been out till 2 a.m. doing shows at the Cellar, and then I'm meeting buddies at 4:30 a.m. at a trail in New Jersey, and you just, all right, I got to get in my car right from the Cellar, drive 2 hours to this trail, change while I'm there, and run on no sleep. So it's like, I have to be this dirtbag type athlete because my career makes me. Like, a lot of runners pride themselves like, I go to bed at 8 o'clock every night. And it's like, I leave the house at 9 o'clock every night.
That's not always possible for you to prioritize your sleep.
Not at all. My sleep never gets anything done. Like, it's weird. Like, I'm an early riser. So as much as like, if I go to bed at 2 o'clock from shows, it sucks, but I'm usually up at 7 or 8 anyway. So it's weird, but like that's what I like about like every runner I know, whether they're a comedian or a business guy, or like you just squeeze it in wherever you can. I especially see it with parents. And I think it goes for parents without, it doesn't even need to be running. Like I think when someone's time gets shrunk, you start to realize like where the priorities are and where you could squeeze everything in. I've seen like a lot of my friends who have kids, that's what happens to them. Like they really need to make decisions on where time gets spent.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, having kids, I mean, I definitely can tell you that's true. It's like it's nice to think you can get everything in, but unless you have like unbelievable time management skills, which are really hard for some people if you've not developed them at a young age, like like being able to figure out, like my wife's really good at being like, she's like, what are you talking about? There's no way we can get those three things in. Pick one.
Yeah.
And she knows, and I will literally think about it and go, oh yeah, we can do all those things. But then once we get into it, we're going to be late to every single thing because somehow my mind didn't map it out right. And I don't know what, like I keep doing it over and over again.
It is very, time management is like, it's such a weird, I think that's one of the few things I was able to take away from like my life before comedy. Like I was a baseball player. I played into college. So like I wasn't the greatest baseball player, but I was always part of teams where there was a lot of structure and regiment and, getting a scholarship, going to college, there's a lot of training that goes into that and you work in training and and it's like that. Every coach would always say, if you're 15 minutes early, you're late. And like, so like it was always drilled into me. And then I also had a dad who like, my dad owned a deli in the city and he was very hands-on. He didn't like outsourcing necessarily to other people to go in early and open it and get it up and running. So he'd go from New Jersey to New York City every morning. I feel like he was probably up in the morning at 12:30 at night, 1 a.m, getting in the shower, leaving the house by 2, getting to the city by like 3:30. And then, the bread guys come and the deliveries, the Boar's Head guys. So like he was always on time. My father, I've never seen him late in my entire life. He is so anal about it.
Had to affect you in probably a positive way in terms of time management.
Positive for me, negative for those around me. Because like if your partner doesn't like being on time and you're trying to communicate like we will not make it on. But I'm a chameleon. I could adapt to situations. So like I went from being a guy who was always early, and now that I'm married to someone who is always late, I don't know. I'm not a good coach. I don't, like you said, it's hard to get those time management skills as an adult. I don't know how to, so I'm just late now.
So you just but it bothers you, right? But how come you can't be like, we have to leave now?
I've got like, when I was away, like we were separated the other day, like I was somewhere on the road, she was somewhere on the road, and like she got somewhere like 40 minutes early, and I was like, see, it's working. I'm rubbing off. Like
it does rub off a little bit, actually. I can tell you with my wife, because I come from a background, my family we were always, I remember most mornings for school, it was like waking up, rushing, the intensity of it. I got addicted to that intensity of like,
the rush of it.
The rush of like, we got to get there. Oh my God, we're going to be late. It was like
Home Alone, rushing to the airport.
Everything. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Everything. And then like, even when I was in my 20s, it was like, I would plan things so I could get there with just enough time. Like if I were to go, sprint for the bus, I remember running after buses and catching them, then feeling good about it. Like feeling like I caught the bus. Like, yeah. Like I got to the airport in the last minute, and it's just like now I cannot stand it. It's I want to leave early because it's like it's just the anxiety. Like I don't get anything. It's funny how you can change. Like I don't want to live my life like that now. It's a very youthful, immature thing almost. Like
and people think it's fat. Like when you're always on time, people go, oh my God, I don't know how you do it. Like it's hard for me to get places on time. And to me, it's very simple. It's just whatever the GPS says, I round up quite a good chunk.
Yeah.
If it says it's going to take 30 minutes, I assume it'll take 55. And then you're just like add 25 minutes to everything and you're good.
But then how many times does it like end up where something gets in your way and you're there like maybe on time or even a few minutes early? It's like,
if I'm on my own, it usually doesn't happen. Like I am pretty good at like early. Commitments. Always early. Yeah. I'm never like if someone tells me to be somewhere at 5, it's just like It's funny. A few weeks ago, I was opening for Patton Oswalt. Like, I don't do many opening gigs anymore, and it was presented to me, would you want to work with him? We have, like, the same management company. And I was like, absolutely, I would love to. It was in Connecticut. I live in New Jersey, so very easy drive. I think it was a 3-hour drive. I had to be there at 6. I think I was at the theater at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hell yeah.
Because, like, as long as you're going somewhere where there's stuff to do, you could go there, just get your bearings, bring all your stuff with you. Like, I always get changed. You don't need to wear all the stuff that you want to wear. And I like having my time. Like, I'd rather feel assimilated into a scenario than be thrown into one.
I think it's the earlier you can learn that, the better. I just think it's like, I'm sure some people think of it as like, oh, that's too uptight. And like, why would you want to live like that? You know, relax a little. But like, honestly, it probably compounds over time, the sort of just little successes that you get from that, just from being early, from you know, being able to you know, overcome whatever obstacle was there, if you were rushing or late, or what problems would have, just by feeling behind, and like the anxiety that's caused by being, you know, feeling like you're behind.
And it's definitely not uptight. I like to get places early so I have time to smoke a joint usually. You have to work in the unwinding, you know? I like to be early to my unwinding.
That's a good quote.
Yeah, I like to be early to my unwinding.
That's awesome, man. So the baseball thing is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Did your dad push you in baseball? Like, what was it that got you into baseball? You obviously reached a pretty great level. Like,
baseball family.
Okay.
Grandfather played baseball for the Air Force in the Korean War. So like there was, you know, like, and it was like competitive. And then after that, he got a tryout for the Yankees. His claim to fame was he hit a home run off Lefty Gomez, who was like a Hall of Fame pitcher in a scrimmage. Yeah. He didn't make the team, but my grandfather was very good. My uncle, my dad's brother, was a very good baseball player. Could have went to college, had scholarships. Just was more of like, you know, just didn't want to go to school. It's very big in our family. Like, I also did not finish college, but my dad was a good player. But my dad had a lot of health issues, and I want to say, I don't know if it was high school or right thereafter, but he had like these back problems. He ended up having to get a metal rod put in his back, and then he was in a full body cast for a long period of time. So like baseball did never materialize for him, but he also started working at like 17, started his own businesses and stuff. The reason it was pushed on me at a point, but it was only because like there was a wide net. I would do baseball, football, wrestling, but I would always quit a lot. Guitar, piano, trumpet. I'd quit. And it eventually got down to where I quit everything but baseball. And my dad, I wanted to quit baseball. I wasn't good. I was a fat kid. My dad was the coach. He would never play me. It was the opposite of what every stereotype is. You know, oh, the father plays his son all the time. There was a tournament we went to Pennsylvania. My dad didn't play me a single game because I was fat and I sucked. I mean, it is what it's so harsh, but it's like I was a terrible baseball player and he didn't play me. But it developed a lot of like wanting to work hard, and like I was a huge animal in like practice, and he'd make me practice every single day. Like, go to school, come home. There were so many different facilities around New Jersey, and that was like my quality time with him. He'd work all day, come home, and then just take me to all these baseball practices, and he never let me quit. And then eventually, like,
from what age was that?
I started playing baseball for this. It was called St. Columbo's in Staten Island. That's where we lived when I was a kid. And I had to be 4 years old when I started T-ball. Wow. So like it was T-ball all throughout. You know, freshman year of college is when I got hurt. But high school is when you start to get recruited. And I became good enough. Like in middle school, I never started. I was not a good player. I barely played. And then high school comes, and freshman year, like I start to get better than other people. And then sophomore year, I'm on varsity, the only sophomore on varsity. So like things are happening. Junior year, I throw like the second no-hitter in my high school's history. One of my best memories in my life to this day, probably. And there starts to get interest from college coaches, but I'm still heavy. So like a lot of the coaches are like, we like you, but you're overweight. And then like what I now know as a 30-year-old man is one of the most important periods of my life is that my high school, which is like this little Catholic school in Homedale, New Jersey called St. John Vianney, they finally use some of this money they make from all the tuition. God knows how long it took them to make this, but they build a state-of-the-art gym, like beautiful, like Olympic weightlifting facility, crazy cardio machines that you don't even see. And like, it was like a freaking college level gym. And I was one of those kids. I was a weird kid. I had friends, but I was always closer with teachers, it felt. And I had a pretty good relationship with the gym teacher, Mr. Halsey, who was like this weird, eccentric guy who was attacked by a squirrel, never really got over it. Like, not even making that up. Like, severe PTSD. Should not have been a teacher. Like,
because he was attacked.
He was like attacked by a rabid squirrel, and it like haunted him. Every single day, it is hysterical. Because like, this is the guy who taught us sex ed. So like, no wonder why the country, like, we're learning sex ed from the PTSD squirrel attack volleyball teacher. But nonetheless, we had a good.
Wait, what was his name?
Mr. Halsey.
Mr.
I hope he's still around, and we had a good relationship. So we worked this deal where he was trying to lose weight at the time as well, and he would get to St. John Vianney at about 4:30 in the morning. School started at 7:38. And he would open up the gym and he'd work out, and he let me start coming to school at that time. So I would wake up at 4 in the morning. I'd get, ready. I'd put all my stuff together. I'd go to Wawa, because Wawa was the only thing open. That's like a big New Jersey gas station convenience store. Mm-hmm. I'd get a chocolate milk and like not even maybe a protein bar. And then I would just go and I'd work out for like 2 hours every single day from like junior year, senior year, leading into college. And I lost so much weight, got into good shape. And like, I don't know what happened. I just found this drive that I guess, I just assume everyone has it, but I guess not, because I had it at a young age. But even then, just knowing I didn't know it was drive then, because it was only, probably realistically, I graduated in 2013, and by 2016, I was 350 pounds. So it was a pretty drastic weight gain after I ended up getting hurt in college. Like, all of that hard work went away because, I didn't have those facilities anymore. Right. Was all gone. But like, I now look back at that period as like, that was the foundation for whatever drive I have now, which is very intense and prominent on a daily basis. I do track it back to that period of my life, and probably further back to not being a good baseball player, always needing to work harder.
Yeah.
But there's something about that, being a high school student, waking up at 4 a.m. that I now have realized was like a special thing.
Right. I mean, it is like that kind of discipline, consistently for a few years is rare, right? Like, we all go through, most people can do things for a little bit of time, but to do something consistently like that but I'd imagine maybe you learned some of that from watching your dad.
Had to be. Just getting up early is what you do. Like, it's kind of like an age-old term that's in ultra running, but it's like, when you start to panic, you just remember, this is who I am and this is what I do. Like, that's all you gotta tell yourself. But yeah, seeing him, it's like, and no shade, my mom is like, she's been a nurse in the same hospital since she's 18 years old. She's worked her way up to upper level management now, still at the same hospital. Like, she's high up there now. And like, she was one of the best, like, getting awards her whole. So like, I had two parents who went gung ho, and she worked in Brooklyn as well. My dad worked in Manhattan. My mom worked in Brooklyn. The majority of my life, we lived an hour and a half away in New Jersey. So they're commuting every single day.
Right.
Every day. Like, and she was good at her job. Like, there were periods of my dad has started successful businesses now, but there were points where she was the breadwinner. And like, so I got to witness.
He was struggling. His business was struggling.
Yeah. Like, not the deli, like, it just wasn't making as much as, like, he sold the deli, and then he started, like, my dad's a very smart guy, where he saw there was this movement because his deli was inside a luxury residential building in Manhattan, and some of his best friends were the doormen. He's had this since the early 90s, this deli. So like, way, over 30 years he's had this deli. Mm-hmm. And his best friends were the doormen, because you get there 3 a.m, there's doormen there. So he was so close with the doormen. So he starts to witness, as the influx of online shopping trends upwards, it was the doorman's job to take those packages and give them to the people. But then deliveries start going crazy. Amazon, all this stuff, the doormen can't handle it anymore. And my dad starts to see this happen, and he creates a business that goes into luxury apartment buildings, and they man package rooms as it's like, they're called Valet NYC, and they do package room stuff. They also do laundry for the people in the building, like if you need dry cleaning, and then they do apartment cleaning. So it's like, he keeps these little kiosks in these apartment buildings, and just because he saw the trend over time, and that's turned out to be pretty, but again, he's like he sold the deli with the idea to retire and maybe work less hard, and now he's working more than I've ever seen him. And he had heart surgery this year. So like it's dumb, but that's where I get it from.
Right.
Yeah.
That work ethic. So after baseball, is that when you really dove into comedy?
Yeah, I loved comedy. I knew it was like, I just remember, I remember specifically sitting in my college dorm room like the day before we left for our first trip, and like all the freshmen were watching Daniel Tosh's Comedy Central special that had like just come out at that time. And like I started stealing my parents' comedy CDs when I was 12. I would listen to Pryor and Kinnison and Hicks and Carlin before every game. Like people were listening to music. I was listening to Mitch Hedberg when I was warming up. Like I loved it. I loved stand-up. And I was always a very funny kid because of not only being heavy, but I did not fit in with anyone else. I was always very different, weird, dressed how I wanted to dress. Like I was just an odd, I didn't know how to communicate with other kids my age. So there was never, there was never that, it was just, comedy was always, it was easy because it was like weirdos. Even as a kid, I understood that comedians were weirdos. And once baseball kind of, I blow out my arm opening day as a freshman. I'm like, I'm a freshman. I have the best spring training of any freshman on the team. Like, I don't give up a single hit in any of the games in the spring training. Opening day comes, we're down in South Carolina, and our reliever, who went on to be a starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies, gets shelled. So then I'm like the number one after that. So they bring me in right away because they're like, hey, you need to keep us in this. So as a true freshman, I'm pitching, and I blew out my elbow, like completely. The ligament tore fully off the bone. It was the worst pain that I remember, like in an immediate injury. And for some reason, like, so I go home, I get Tommy John surgery. That's where they took a part of my hamstring, and then they put 3 holes in your elbow, and they use your hamstring to recreate the ulnar collateral ligament, I think that UCL, in the elbow. So my leg is actually in my arm. Yeah, it's
so that's no joke, that tear.
Yeah, I still have a nice big scar.
That is like, how crazy is that, man? It changes the whole trajectory of your life.
It does, but in a very positive. I don't know why, but for some reason, I just knew that if I gave in to the depression of the moment and how big it was, that it would swallow me up. And obviously, I allowed the depression to swallow me up in a certain way, like because the weight
gained a bunch of weight.
The weight starts immediately. Right? Like I have this clear freaking memory of. So the first spring training trip happens. I get hurt on that trip. We come back. We find out the ligament is busted, right? But luckily, we get the call from the doctor that the ligament's fully torn while we're on the bus to Florida for our second spring training. It wasn't even spring training. It was the start of the season. We would do 3 trips to start the season in warmer weather states because it was too cold in New Jersey. So I find out on the bus. So I still get to be with my friends. So like I'm having the worst time of my life. I just find out my career, is in the, I didn't know it was over at that point because Tommy John's a pretty successful surgery, but I still get to go on this trip. And then we come home, and the next trip I don't get to go on because the coach is like, listen, man, we can't bring you. You're hurt. You got a red shirt. You're not like, you can't come. You don't need to, you're not here. And I just remember sitting in my dorm room, going to the cafeteria, getting I literally took a cup and I filled the cup because we had like an ice cream machine, and I just filled it with ice cream, put all candy, and I just sat in the dorm room and ate it alone. And like, who would have known what that would become, But at the same time, like, my parents sense that I'm sad, and I love Universal Orlando. I love the Orlando theme parks. Still, for our year anniversary, my wife and I made her, go to Orlando with me. She hates rides. We'll probably get divorced within the year because of it. But I love Orlando, and my parents take me to Orlando, which is so sad I'm like, at this point, a 19-year-old man, and I'm an only child. So it's my mom, my dad, and me just in Universal Orlando. But I remember I was in the Tommy John cast because I had gotten the surgery by Dr. Ahmad. He was the Yankees doctor. He came up to me, took the World Series ring, put it on my finger. He's like, I'm going to take good care of you. Man. Botched the surgery. But I started writing on that trip in Orlando. I had a notebook, and I started writing jokes in it. And then when we got home, I do believe my first open mic, I still had the Tommy John cast on my arm because it was like a robotic arm. And I just knew that because when you're a college athlete, that's, You know, a lot of times it's a gym session plus a practice a day and class. So those are 3 things every single day and a lot of hard work. And I needed to just put that work into something because obviously I was so destructive even finding a successful career path with my body. Like I can't imagine what would have happened if I didn't find comedy.
Yeah.
It just became this new obsession.
It sounds like it was like always there kind of in the background for you. I mean, listening to comedy before you go out to perform.
Yeah, but you don't think about it. Like you don't think you could do it. Like my dad owns a deli. My uncle drives a Little Debbie route. Right. You know, my aunt's a bus driver. Like we're like trash from Jersey. Like we were from New York, but all my family lives in Jersey now pretty much. Like you don't think that's something you could do. But that being said, when I look back, I come from a very funny Italian family. Both my grandfathers still alive, you know, thank God. Both big joke tellers. So like it was
at the
always
dinner table,
big time, like good jokes, bad jokes, doesn't matter. I've heard them 1,000 times, you know, a lot of them can't be repeated, but it's good. Comedy was always there. And my mom's very funny, dry sense of humor. My dad is more of the deli guy. I would always make deli humor. Like someone comes in, can I get a bacon, egg, and cheese with no ketchup? He's like, extra ketchup, huh? Like little shit like that. But my mom's kind of she's one of those, she's got that cold, good, cutting sense of humor, which runs in my family quite a bit. But yeah, it was always there, but it was never something that even after I bombed my first open mic so bad, it was terrible. It was really bad. You had the
cast on at that point? So in that open mic, was it in New York?
No, it was at a place called 10th Street Live in Kenilworth, New Jersey. It's since been knocked to the ground, thank God. Some of my worst memories in that. I never did well. I even went back after I started to have success, and I was like, I'll do another show there.
So you could conquer it?
Yeah. Bombed so bad. Like people came out to see me, and it was terrible. Like it was, I was never able to get that room. They always had 6 TVs on, never turned them off. And my open mic was during opening day of, at that point, the Giants were the opening day game. And obviously New Jersey, the Giants are massive. They play in New Jersey. So the only cheer that I got was when the Giants scored a touchdown during my set. But it was terrible. It was really bad. And my dad forced me again. He didn't let me quit. I went in the bathroom. I almost threw up, and I came out. I said, I don't want to do this. He drove me to the mic. He was there with me. And he said, you don't have to ever do it again, but you do have to do this one. He's like, you will be upset if you quit this. Just give it one shot.
Yeah.
And I did.
That's great. You got that support.
Yeah.
I mean...
And then something out of a movie, man. The next week, I just felt that bug. I was working at my dad's deli at that point because I had dropped out of my 4-year school and I was going to a community college because I still thought I was going to recover from the injury. And there was this little junior college in New Jersey that at that point had one of the best baseball teams in the entire country. So I went there. The coach was excited to have me, and the injury ends up, really becoming a bad thing and never recovering. But I'm working in the deli, and there's this open mic not far away at Eastville Comedy Club, and my dad says, I'll go with you again. Let's just finish at the deli and we'll go over there. So we go over there, and, again, they put me on last. So that Eastville Comedy Club, not even there anymore. Now it's New York Comedy Club. They took it over. And I go up near the end, and I'm 19, and it was like lightning in a bottle. It's all comics in the room. You never killed a mic, and I killed at a mic, really had a good set. And the host of it was this guy named Vince Chang, who, he'll say it yourself. He's nothing what you'd expect. Vince Chang, he is a tall, handsome black guy. It's amazing. he's a tall, handsome basketball player. Exactly. And
picturing a short Asian dude with glasses.
And he comes up to me and my dad, and he goes, how old are you? And I said, 19. He goes, how long have you been doing this? I said, this was my second time on stage. And he looked at my dad, and like a scene in the movie, he goes, is your son in college? And my dad goes, yeah. And he goes, you should have the full confidence and allow him to drop out and pursue this. He's like, he does have something, and I think he should give this a real shot. And Vince then hooks me up with his friend who's this little show producer, right? Nothing big, not in comedy clubs, but he runs a few bar shows and alt venues around the city. And he lets me start handing out flyers for him in return for stage time every night. So then immediately I, go from working in the deli to now I'm a barker and selling tickets in Times Square, handing out flyers and performing every single night.
So how much, if you get someone to come from the flyers that you hand out, how do they know? And then how much stage time do you get from that?
So with Ryan, that was the guy that Vince Chang hooked me up with. You always had to get at least 5 people in, and then you got 5 minutes on the show.
Okay.
And then at that point, right, so like I said, Eastville was the first
tough
place.
work.
Yeah, it's tough work. Eastville was the place that I did the open mic. New York Comedy Club owns that now. There was another comedy club called New York Comedy Club that was owned by Broadway Comedy Club. Broadway sells New York Comedy Club. So these guys then turn this, which is one of the shittiest clubs in the city, into one of the best clubs in the city. And I, because of the relationship I have with Vince and Ryan, get asked to be a part of their street team. So I just have to literally 8 in the morning, I'm out in Times Square until 6 o'clock at night, 8 to 6, maybe 9 to 6 if I'm a little bit late, selling tickets for New York Comedy Club. And I was bad. I was not a good salesman because I'm not a people person. I don't just go up to people and say, how are you? I fucking hate that shit. So like I'm selling, the most I ever sold was 2 tickets in a day. But luckily I was doing good on stage. So every night they would give me the check spot at the club, which is, you know, when they hand out the checks and no one's paying attention, you go on stage and you perform while nobody's paying attention. And that just became my life. I would, in the same way of like getting up early and going to the gym, I created a deal with the guys at the Staten Island Ferry that they would let me keep my car. At that point, it was $8 to park for the day. I'm sure it's probably $30 now with the way inflation has gone. But like, it was $8, and I worked a deal with them where they would not give a shit or say anything if the car was there for 5 days. It was still $8. They liked me. I liked them. So then I would leave the car there. I'd take the ferry in because my dad's deli was right outside of like where the Staten Island Ferry lets you off in Manhattan. And that's where I'd start the day, right? So I'd get my breakfast, I'd go do the barking and stuff, then I'd do my shows at night, and then at that point I got another gig barking for another venue, late night shows, like midnight shows. So I'm barking late, I don't want to drive back home to Jersey, so my dad gives me the keys to the storage room, which is on the 8th floor of the apartment building. That's where the deli storage room is, and they have a washing and drying machine. So I would put blankets down on the machines, and I would sleep in the storage room at night. And then I would just wake up, go to a gym in the area because the building.
Your car's taken care of.
Car's taken care of. Shower at a gym, get changed, and then go do it again. And the only negative is that the storage room, it's like one of those like sterile looking rooms that has like those lights on. You can't turn the lights off in the storage room. So it's fluorescent bright light 24/7. And I would move in my sleep, and I would often like turn the drying machine on. Like I'd accidentally hit it and knock it on. But like then that becomes like. It's funny because I got very lucky. Like the Comedy Cellar is the big thing in New York, and I got very lucky. I got passed there when I was like 20 years old. I've been doing stand-up for like a year. And everyone was like, man, this guy, he got it out of nowhere. Why does he deserve it? And in my head, I'm like, I'm sleeping on a fucking drying machine at night in a bright fluorescent room and then selling tickets to German tourists in Times Square and then barking in the Village till midnight. I'm like, this didn't come out of, obviously the speed of it came out of nowhere. But I felt like I was putting in a level of work that warranted something special to happen.
Absolutely.
Like if you want to make shit happen, you're going to have to put in the work to make shit happen. A lot of times it doesn't just happen.
Yeah. So at this time you're 19, 20, you're 20, you're in at the Comedy Cellar, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did that last?
Not long.
So did you get like kicked out after a while, or what is that? What
Maybe
happens?
I lasted 2 years, if that.
Okay.
It's a very dark period of my life, but again, another one that was very important because that ultimately kind of like, you know, becomes one of the dominoes that falls that leads to weight loss. But yeah, I was funny, right? Like I was a funny 20-year-old, 19, 20. I could go up at a club and do well because they were like, oh, here's this fat kid in boots and a flannel in Manhattan. Like, what is this? I look like one of the blue-collar comedy guys because that was what fit me. I was heavy. And it worked because I was young, but then you go from these clubs where you're with some other young people, some bringer comics, some comics who are on the show because they sold tickets to it. You know, it's not the strongest talent pool. And then you're put in the cellar where literally the host to the last comic is a beast. It's the best comics in the world. So like, I remember one night I had to go up after like Chris Rock and Louis, and I bombed so bad. And it's like, well, what did you? I wasn't ready for it.
It sounds like you met some of the right people with that guy Ryan and Vince, and like there was this like story building around you. Like you were working your ass off. You know, I know when you see people like that, those around you kind of want to help you. You know, it sounds like you were gaining momentum, and I don't know, I'm speculating here, but yeah, at the end of the day, how many hours are you putting towards comedy and your craft? You're still young. You're like 20, and most of your day, you're like you're grinding, like trying to get people to buy tickets to the comedy show at night. You're working your ass off, but you're not necessarily on stage getting those reps in.
And I would always get mad because people would say it takes 10 years to find your voice and all this bull. And I remember sometimes thinking like, man, it doesn't matter if the audience is 40 years old and I'm 20, I could connect with them. And you would get laughs and chuckles and do good enough to become a guy who got spots in the city. Like I could do well. But I didn't know what killing on stage was until I lived my life. Like, how are you supposed to connect with 30 and 40 and 50-year-olds who have been through really, really, not only just like hard shit, but I don't even think it's being through hard shit. It's just life stacking up over the years.
Just living.
Yeah.
Relationships.
Who wants to, I don't like, the idea of me walking into a room and seeing a 20-year-old do stand-up right now disgusts me. Why would I want to watch that? I don't want to see a 20-year-old talk. I don't care what he has to say.
Yeah.
So like, then you learn like finding your voice also just means living your life. Like, and now that I feel like I could connect with audiences in ways that genuinely weren't even possible then, but you can't see that. Like
Sure.
It's crazy to me to even think I'm still a comic 12 years later because my brain still goes back to those days. Like on the way here, there was a smell in the elevator. It must be a cleaning product that New York Comedy Club used to use because it brought me right back to New York Comedy Club meetings in the morning when we would talk about how many tickets we were going to try to sell in Times Square. Mm-hmm. And it's like that time period. People don't lie. Like the struggle is the period that you remember the most. Mm-hmm. And that period is that for me. But then it becomes like the Cellar stops using me after 2 years. And it wasn't like I didn't have a target on my back, even if other comics didn't say that vocally. Like I got shit on a lot at the Cellar. That was still a period of time where bullying was happening at the table, as it should, and I could call it roasting. It felt a lot more like bullying when I was 19 and 20, Comics who are dead now would shit on me in ways that were so intense. I used to wear rings and shit, and I got bullied out of those pretty quick when you're 19 and 20. But, like, it was, like, really intense times, and then that leads into, like, this snowball effect where then I really, like, I go from maybe 280, 290, and then it's like 350 plus pounds because I'm just kind of miserable at that point. And I get...
How long were you that weight? I mean, that's a heavy weight. I mean, looking at you now, I mean, you look like you're, what, like 165,
I wish. I'm probably like 185 now. Yeah. I've gotten as far down as 164. My heaviest was 354. But... I hover mostly like right now. The weight is coming. I'm in like pretty intense training block right now, so the weight's starting to come off good. But it's always fluctuates. But how long? I would say it had to be more than a year. Like it was a few. It had to be like the whole weight loss process starts at 23 years old, so 7 years ago. Okay. I started stand up at 18, 19, so it could have only been maybe 2 years max. I was that weight.
Okay,
but it was bad enough to where, like, that was before Ozempic or anything. That was like, I was seeing doctors about, it was a surgery called Obalon, which is where you swallow a series of balloons and then they inflate them once you're
Obalon?
Obalon, yeah. And they expand the balloons once they're swallowed, so then you can't even eat them. You got a freaking balloon.
Oh, that is so fucked up. There's no way I would ever do that.
I remember being in the doctor's office and just hearing this, and I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, am I at like swallow balloon level? Like I was a college athlete and then like my dad was like, yeah, dude, like if you want to lose the weight, why don't you give it one shot on your own instead of swallowing balloons? And he was, again, like my dad was there to kind of help push me in that direction. But I could literally list off about 15 things that happened that persuaded me to lose weight.
So did you start? Yeah, I think I've heard some of them. Like you got in a car wreck, right?
I totaled 2 cars in the span of like 3 months that was what like... That's when I start to learn how bad my health is because, like, I'm in the hospital, and then that's where they find out I have a fatty liver, which had nothing to do with the car accident. It was just, I was in pain, and then they did scans, and that showed. So there was 2 car accidents. I break some bones. I get head injuries, and that's kind of just wake-up calls in my life, right, to, like, I think they were the first big signs that, like, hey, you're on the wrong path. Like, look at this stuff that's happening. And then I don't do much about it. And then Thanksgiving that year comes along, and I have it was the fattest I'd been. And I have one of the most gluttonous, my family specifically, the LaMortes are a very gluttonous family. Like our Thanksgiving it's not just a big dinner. Like we have a legendary breakfast to where like people who would live in the area would come just to witness. There was I mean, like think of the Harry Potter Great Hall, but just freaking donuts and bagels and eggs.
Plates stacked high, French
Yeah,
toast
and I have a
bacon.
legendary Thanksgiving. I really eat it all.
Was that part of the tradition of your family? Was it like eat as much as you can and just relax, or what?
We would have the massive breakfast, right? And the reason that became a thing was because we used to do really competitive football games right after at the Lacey High School football field down the shore. So we would fuel up, go play football, then we'd come back, nap, eat dinner, nap, eat dessert. My aunt had a beautiful house down the shore, and like everyone would come over. She'd make it like a hotel. You'd be assigned rooms. Some of the best memories of my childhood. She put like mints on the pillow. It was so cool. And the day after that Thanksgiving, 23 years old, my parents take me to the hospital because I'm just in crazy amounts of pain. And that was the liver, and that was just it for me. Like a few weeks after that, I just knew I needed something. So I save up some money at that point, and I sublet an apartment for 1 month in Los Angeles. I was young. That was all I could afford. And it wasn't even I had no idea the guy, his name was Chaz. He was still living there as well. I just had one of the other rooms in his place. But it was amazing. I had a balcony, and nobody in LA walks. And I don't know why, but like I like going to dispensaries and stuff, so I would walk to the dispensary from this guy's house, get a joint, then I'd find myself walking around LA a little bit. I found this place, which has since closed, called Love Baked Wings. It was the guy was Beyonce's chef. He would make these gluten-free wings. That was another thing. A doctor told me to give up gluten, right? So because he says you might be allergic, it could be. So that was the first step I give up gluten. And then LA was a great place to be because there was so much gluten-free stuff at that point. So that month in LA, I'm just eating better. I'm walking everywhere. My buddy Greg makes me go to Runyon Canyon and make me go on a hike with him, and I get stoned for that, and I loved it. I loved walking up the hills, even though at that point I had dropped a couple pounds already because of the gluten, but I was still over 300 pounds, and I loved the hike. It was so cool. And the apartment that I was staying at that in LA, they had this little gym in the garage. It had like one bench. It was disgusting. It had a punching bag, some weights, and every single day I was in LA, I just went to that gym. I did shows,
all you need, man.
And I leave LA probably under 300 pounds at that point after that month, and I go back to New Jersey, and it's not gradual, but over some time it picks up, and I eventually go from hiking to running, and that kind of starts this whole crazy path that could be a separate podcast episode of its own into ultra endurance events and crazy training, and the weight really does start to come off in mass amounts. And it's just, again, it was like, I feel very lucky in my life, like to trace back to the injury in college where I blow out my arm, and I use that as a way to get into stand-up. The car accidents, that the cellar not performing there anymore, this built up feeling like if comedy goes away, I'm just stuck in this overweight. But like everything kind of, I felt like lined up for a reason for me to kind of just move forward and keep going. And it seems like it all had to happen to get here,
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you have, like, I'd love to hear a little more about the running, but it seems like how integral is that a part of your life now? I mean, could you do without it, or was it a thing to get you to a certain place, or is it like this is a part of your life that you need?
There is a real twisted part of me that, so like the weird thing about ultra endurance events, these range anywhere from a 50K at the smallest level, so that's about a 32-mile race. Often those will be on tough mountainous terrain. And it goes up to, you have, this past year was the inaugural Arizona Monster 300, was a 300-mile race through Arizona. So like you have these events that scan like really long distances, right? So the weird thing about ultra is you don't need to go fast, right? And a lot of guys, they get really good in their late 30s, their early 40s. My favorite runner is this guy named Harvey Lewis. He's a teacher out in Ohio, school teacher, runs every day to work. That's his commute, doesn't use a car, doesn't matter if it's snowing. Harvey Lewis is one of the greatest ultra runners that's ever lived. There's an event called the Backyard Ultra, which you run 4.1 something, I don't know what the exact, you run 4 point something miles on the hour, every hour. until the last person drops. So say you're fast, right? And you run the first 4 miles in 42 minutes and you get back to the start. You now need to rest for 18 minutes. You don't get to then just start again. Everyone starts together.
Okay.
So
what happens if you get knocked out if you don't make
if you don't make the cutoff, you're out
within an hour?
Yeah, Harvey Lewis just ran 500 miles. Came in second place. Did not the winner beat him, but he's in his 50s. And he, had the record years ago at 300, and now years later, he's pushing to 500 miles. And, he does training with a guy who's 100 and something years old, and the guy still runs, and it's, so this is a long way of going, like running to me, I look at it as something that if I keep training this hard, maybe I could be a professional when I'm 40, and it sounds insane for me to even say out loud. And maybe it's got to be somewhat tied into my collegiate career ending on opening day, this drive to still be an athlete. But I also think it's not fair to myself and those around me for the amount of work that I've put in to not see it through as much as I can. So I train with the intent to what if in 5-6 years, I'm good enough to have sponsorships from Hoka and these freaking companies that are paying me to do races and stuff. Like, what if that's something I could do? So yes, running is every day. It's, right now it's at least 70 miles a week. That trends upwards as I get closer to races.
70 miles a week is quite a bit.
I've gotten hurt a lot, so I've had to take time away many times. So and when I'm away, I do notice a difference in personality. So I do think running has become, but it's also to my detriment. I can't sit here and tell you my relationships are perfect. I can't sit here and tell you my life is perfect.
Sure.
There's a lot of shit that maybe running has been avoidance for me. And I've upset a lot of the people closest to me because I've ended up, ultras have put me in the hospital 3 times. I've been in the ICU for 3 days. I've had weird heart, lung injuries. I've broken bones.
I thought I heard about something like a year ago or something. You had you were in the hospital.
Yeah, I had a rare medical condition during an 100-mile race a year ago. Not this past September, last September. I was about 30 miles into a race and my chest started to hurt. Pains happen though. So sure. 40 miles comes along, 50, and it's bad. It's like my jaw is hurting. I'm in excruciating. I feel like I know what the signs were. I was like, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
So eventually I get to the 60 miles mark. And at that point, I'm able to have a car. My parents pick me up and take me to the hospital. And I had this weird condition called a spontaneous pneumomediastinum, which is where, for one reason or another, air leaks from the lungs into the chest cavity surrounding the heart and the organs there, and it fills your chest and that area with air. And that air started to push down on my vagus nerve, which your vagus nerve is pretty essential to controlling everything in your body. And, I end up having a weird incident in the hospital that night. I have to be transferred to a different facility by ambulance. I have the moment where everything goes white and the machines start beeping and the nurses run into the room and my family's in the corner crying. It, to this day, is the scariest. I could tear up thinking about it now, even just hearing my mom being like, Dan, come back. It happened, I broke out in a crazy, all I remember is they put this oxygen mask on me because I didn't know what had happened. I was still waiting in the ER of this hospital that was near the race, and then the nurses came in and it was grim, and they just put an oxygen mask on me and they're like, hey, we discovered something that we don't think we have the means to deal with here, so you're going to be transferred to another facility. And then right the second the oxygen is put on me, everything goes white. I get into this crazy sweat to where even my collarbones, they were like little pools. It's called a heart attack sweat. When someone has a heart attack, their whole body goes to the crazy, and I go through this crazy sweating thing, and they end up getting me to the other hospital. I'm there for 3 days. I also have something called rhabdo. I've had rhabdo twice. That's when your muscles start to break down through your urine. So that's a deadly thing as well. Your kidneys could fail.
I've heard about that.
So that happened, and then I had to take off months of running. Cardiologists, heart monitors. They were never able to. There was speculation from a pulmonologist that maybe my cannabis use caused these growths of something called blebs on my lung, and the bleb exploded and leaked air. I went to other doctors that said
You're
that's
using
not
terminology here that I but
yeah, a bleb is a blob. It's a small speck on your lung. It's a blob. It's a bleb. It's a blob. It grows there. And when a bleb explodes, it could either go to the left and collapse your lungs, or it could go to the right and cause the mediastinum. But then other doctors didn't think that, because I had races in the buildup where I had really aggressive vomiting, because sometimes that happens when you're running long distances. And it could have been that I tore my esophagus and didn't know, and then I go to race a few months later and the air leaks out. But I end up having to take months off. Then I finally come back, and against everyone's wishes, I sign up for a mountain 50K, and it goes well, but it was hotter than I was expecting. So I didn't feel like I was able to get all the energy out. So the next week I do a big training week. And then that next week I'm running a downhill on a mountain, and I snap my fibula in half and break my fibula. And that was in April. It's October now. I came back from the broken fibula within 2 months, started running again, built up the mileage, then tore that ankle on the same hill that I broke the fibula.
Okay, dude. I will give you a sponsorship of whatever shoe, deal, what you want. Like, it's an inspiring story.
Yeah.
But I mean, that you're not giving up. It's clear it means a lot to you. Clear.
Yeah.
So, like, how does your family, I'm sure that discussion is hard, right? Where it's like they realize, for whatever reason, this means a lot to you, or you wouldn't want to persist.
Yeah, and a lot of the reason it means a lot to me is maybe 5 years ago is probably when the first ultra was, 4 or 5 years ago. This guy named Matt Meredith reaches out to me on Instagram, and at this point, I have maybe 14,000 followers. I don't have a following. I'm like a popular comic around the city, but I'm not anything online. Then he sends me a message. He goes, "Hey, I saw some of your weight loss posts. I'm starting this little documentary. I got this little documentary company out in San Diego. I'll fund my way out there. If you're open to it, would you be interested if I come to your first ultra and film it, and we make a short little documentary about it?" So they come there, they film it, it goes well, and I want to keep going. So I run a 55-mile race a few weeks later, and then he goes, "Do you think you have 100 in you?" And I go, "Yeah, I do have a 100-mile race in me." So I sign up for the 100 and I start training, and they come out to that first 100, and the race runs out of water pretty quickly. I wasn't running in the front of the pack, so I got stuck without the water. I end up getting severely dehydrated and rhabdo, and that's when at mile 30 I go to the hospital. So they end up filming me in the hospital there. Then, it takes almost a year to come back from that, and that's when the Pine Creek, the race last September, happens. They come out there, film it. I end up in the hospital, the ICU for 3 days. They don't get that finish.
Shit.
So then he goes, "Hey, I'm wrapping the movie, man. I can't afford to do this any longer." And I said, "Wait, just wait, man." And the training is kicked up, and he has seen it online. And I said, "In what world do you wrap this movie right now?" I said, "You started filming me 5 years ago. I was in a different relationship. I broke up with that girl, end up meeting my wife. I get married. The documentary crew's at my wedding as friends. They're not even there to film because they're buddies of mine. They're at my wedding. They've had me in the hospital twice. I mean, when they started filming this, I had no tattoos, I had 0 tats. So, like, think about the trauma and the shit they got in my life. It's like, this doesn't happen all off of happiness. So, like, they have like a real coming of age story, So I was like, You guys can't give this up yet, because, but I try to tell because it's one of the, I would say running may be the biggest wedge between my wife and I, and she wasn't an athlete growing up. Mm-hmm. She was a theater kid. She came from parents who, no matter what you did, like it was enough. And that's good for some people. But I didn't grow up with that. Like you could even see the intensity I have talking about it now. Every single day since last September, so over a year, it's not like there hasn't been a day where I haven't thought about failing. And I know it's crazy to run 60 miles and consider it failure, especially when your body literally was trying to kill you. But it doesn't mean I don't think about it every single day, and I don't think about not hitting that goal. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no world where I don't stop trying. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, like, it's a tough conversation in the ultra world because it's a self-serving selfish sport at a certain point. But at the other time, it's like,
But
I know this is what I need to do. It's hard.
It gets into a fundamental question that I think everybody ultimately has to ask themselves. You know, there are some people that are searching for something for whatever reason. It's their journey.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily okay to just be like, this is enough. No, I'm searching for something. I'm trying to figure something out. And this world, the things that I'm pursuing, this is what I need to go through. Now, of course, you have to assess what's around you, your family, your kids if you have them, your spouse, your parents, you know, and factor that in, of course. And I think, but that should, you know, I don't know what I'm saying exactly, but I think that happens naturally. I think I don't know, because I relate, like I understand both sides, right?
Yeah.
It's like the pursuit. So many of us are in pursuit. Like, what happens when we get there? Are we gonna get there and go, oh, you know, maybe it was enough, and I should have just chilled out.
My wife says that every time. She goes, I know what's going to happen when you get there. You're just going to want to do a 200-mile race. And I'm like, what you don't understand is I already want to do a 250-mile race. I know that about myself. This isn't about what's next. It's about what has to be done.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what's next. I care that there was this goal set 5 years ago, and I never did it. And for whatever reason, my brain tells me that's what's on the other side of all of this work that I put in is incredibly worth it. And so many people in my life go, isn't the ICU and the rhabdo and the broken fibula, at what point are you going to look at these signs that these are signs that you should stop? And I'm like, well, that's just mentality, because can I look at this as signs to keep going? That on the other end of this struggle and this hard work is going to be something incredibly worth it? Like, isn't that a chance too? Like, I think the strong-minded person looks at signs as a way to go forward.
Totally.
But then I practice what I preach, because I say the car accidents were a sign for me to lose weight. I don't know, like, because
it's so tough, man.
It's tough.
So tough because if you could know the future, you know, it might be a little easier, but you can't.
Yeah, but it's important for me because I'm a stand-up comedian, but I never wanted that to be my identity. As someone who has grown up in this business, I know what everyone's like, and everyone's a gross overstatement, but I know the vapidness and the ego and the shit that's in this business, and it never made me feel good. Especially now more than ever with the social media and the self-promotion, it makes me feel disgusting. And I don't love necessarily... What I'll say this is, when I'm in the woods with a group of ultra runners, the positivity compared to that of a green room of jaded comics, you feel different. Like when you're running through the woods for 8 hours with 200 people who also chose to run 32 miles up and down a mountain, there's something special there. Like you're in competition against all of them, but at the same time, like, you're bad motherfuckers who decided on that day you were going to run all day. And there's something special about that. So for me to maintain running, it's like I've always I think, you know, I look at some comedians and I'm like, yeah, they're a great comedian. But for me, it's like, it's never, I like comedy. I think I'm very good at it, but I just want it to be one part of my story. I like to do it all. I think whatever my purpose was to just live the life that I want to live. And hopefully, like, I could track people in my life who have started running and losing weight, or fans of mine who have lost weight. I have pictures on my phone. I save posts when people send it to me. And it's like, that's what it's always been about to me. And even my stand-up, you know, if I were to break into it, getting diagnosed with autism at 23 years old, when the weight loss starts, because I start to realize that underneath the autistic people do something called masking, and that's where you try to act like you're not what you are in public to appease others. And my therapist would often tell me that my weight was my mask, because people wouldn't see an autistic guy, they would see a fat guy first. And that, again, this is just all part and parcel of me. Some people go, you're the autism comic, but I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm the ultra running comic to other people, so that's not true. And it's like, I'm just Dan. I'm just a guy who wants to pursue everything to the fucking umpth degree. I was 20 when I got into the cellar. That doesn't happen by accident. That's because I worked as hard as someone who also works hard to be an ultra runner. You know, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's always been the important thing to me, is just like living the life that you want to live and having this blind faith that hopefully it works. I always have this blind faith that and maybe some might call blind faith white privilege. I don't know. It's a middle class white guy blind faith that I know.
Sure, you could call it a lot of things, but ultimately, what you're facing, especially with the scares, the health scares, is like, I mean, that's real. I mean, you're facing fear. You're coming right up against fear if you continue, or courage, kind of and passion. You mean your passion is clear, which is like what life's about, right? If you didn't if you just kind of live in the easy way and don't pursue your passions, like, I don't know, what's it about? Is it as good? Maybe for some people it is. For some people it's enough.
For whatever reason, I always tell my wife, on this time around, on this life that I am in right now, I am a guy who just likes to do shit, and I like to do hard stuff, and I like to push myself, and I can't deny that side of me, because not everyone is lucky enough to be someone who likes to get up at 7 in the morning and run when they went to bed at 2 o'clock from shows. And it's like, I know the kind of person that, like, I see it in others. I've always found a lot of strength in people who do good, like really cool shit in hard times. It's one of the biggest attractions to me. Like, my favorite musician is this guy named Gord Downie. He was the lead singer of the Tragically Hip, the most famous Canadian band. They never got that big in the States, but as far as Canada, they're like the Canadian band. They were as big as you could get. Weed legalized on his birthday. There's the Tragically Hip Way. They were selling at a point 70,000 tickets a show in Canada. They were massive, and he gets diagnosed, I believe, in 2016 around then with terminal brain cancer. And when I tell you, this guy's like a poet laureate, like he writes books, like he is beloved in Canada, one of the craziest frontman, crazy energy. And he decides to have this really aggressive surgery that allows him to do one final tour. And it could be argued that that tour took away years, maybe an extra year of his life. And he does this final tour with brain cancer. He loses the ability to read, write. He loses his memory, and then he has to learn this all again. He has to learn the lyrics again. They have to have teleprompters up there. And he does 8 final shows across Canada. And it's one of the most sad but beautiful. There's a few documentaries about it. All of them are worth watching, because this guy essentially gets to deliver his own eulogy to the country that loves him, and a lot of people are crying, and it's a sad thing, but I watch that and I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, if I were to get diagnosed with something, I would want to do the same exact thing. Like, yeah, it's sad that this happened, but it's also one of the coolest fucking stories. Like, this guy gave it his all, and he got to go out how he wanted.
Yeah.
He went out with the love that he deserved. He gave these people his all. And I think I'm always attracted to people like that. I have a few friends who, I'm friends with this girl, Jackie, I believe she lives in North Carolina. She lost her leg and then became an ultra runner.
That's great.
After losing her leg. Yeah. And it's like, people like that, it's like, fuck, surround yourself with that. Like, those are the people who have the answers.
It's like rage against the dying of the light.
Exactly. It's that, what is it, Theodore Roosevelt, it's the man in the arena. Yeah, that's
His vision is marred with dust and sweat and blood.
Just put yourself into the fire. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. Have you ever heard the poem If?
I don't know.
Rudyard Kipling. Check that one out.
Okay.
Man. Oh, it's got it's got hints. It's got a lot more, but it's got hints of like the man in the arena kind of.
I'll definitely. I love that stuff. I'm a big quote guy.
Yeah. Let me see if I remember something. Like, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will, which says to them, hold on.
Ooh,
if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. There was always like the man part of it, but who cares? In those, it's always like, it's.
I lived my life. There was a guy, they called him the Rebel Monk. I forgot what his actual. There's legendary stories about him. He was a womanizer and a booze bag, but like an enlightened guy. He was.
Yeah.
And he had a famous quote, which, paraphrasing, he would say, "Throw me into hell and I'll find a way to enjoy it." And that's kind of how I go. It's like, all right, tear my arm, put me in a car accident, make me 350 pounds. That's fine. I'm going to find a way out of this, and I'll find a way to do it with enjoyment and how I want to do it on my terms.
Yeah, that's commendable, man, and not easy to do, because fear and anxiety kind of take a hold of people. So
and running isn't funny at all, and I'm supposed to be a
I
stand-up
know.
comedian. That's also the hardest freaking part.
Yeah.
Because like people will be like, "Why aren't you being more funny?" I'm like, "Because there's a rage inside of me that I did." But no, I do think I keep a pretty good balance. Like there are comedians in the running space who like do all running material. I don't really find ways to talk about that. Maybe one day I will.
Yeah.
I think it's a book, if anything. Like that is one of the other goals that I keep in the back pocket. Like especially this specific, I always wondered what the book was. Like you need to live a full life to even consider possibly being someone who could do that. But I'm like, this whole attempt at chasing the 100-mile goal and what I've learned about myself, what I've gained, what I've lost, I'm like, that's the story that I want to tell, because everyone has their 100-mile race. I think it just
whatever
depends
form,
what
it is.
Yeah.
When is your 100-mile race?
Nothing. Not on the books.
Not on the books, but you're getting ready for it.
I have, I'm racing in December, maybe. I am signed up for an 100K, so that's like 60, almost 63 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only other thing I have on the books. And then I still want to give my family space to come to terms with this as something I'm going to do again, because I do think there is a part of them that worries about, like, maybe there isn't an ICU visit next time, maybe he does drop dead, and they think about it more than me. I think watching someone do something hard is almost harder than being the person doing the hard thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're two different experiences.
I totally know that feeling, having kids. No, I know exactly what it is. I mean, it's harder, especially if something feels dangerous.
But let me tell you, my parents are sick fucks. Like they're going through this crazy weight loss journey right now, which they've done my whole life. They're fitness obsessed. I mean, 3 hikes a day, 5 workout classes. My dad 4 or 5 years ago broke the world record for the most push-ups done in an hour. He did something like 3,000 push-ups in an hour, and then a guy in Australia beat him a week later. Yes, I got pictures of it. My mom would be his counter. She'd count every single push-up. And he didn't even get the chance to have the record because the guy broke it the following week when his was still sent in. But he did, I want to say, it was 3,055 push-ups, I believe, was the number that my dad had hit at that point.
Within an hour?
In an hour.
Are you allowed to take a break? Or
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go the whole time, but you just have to get that amount in an hour.
So you could stand up and kind of stretch out, but it's within an hour.
And he would do, so it's like when they come to me and they go, "We don't think you should do this," I go, "You made me. I'm doing this because of whatever you like. I don't have a choice. This is the path you guys put me on."
You're doing 3,000
I know,
push-ups
exactly. Who the hell are you?
There's like a handful of people on this planet that are trying shit like that.
I know. Exactly. And and that's the beautiful thing about my parents, right? Like when I look, my dad's on the floor doing 3,055 push-ups, and where's my mom? Sitting on the chair next to him, counting each one. And that is how it should be, in my opinion.
That's awesome.
You have to find those people who are, they call it, there's a very famous ultrarunner named David Goggins, who's like this Navy SEAL, very David intense Goggins. Guy. Yeah. But he always talks about, like, I believe he calls it your foxhole, like who would you go to battle with? Mm-hmm. And you need to make sure those people really have your back through everything, because like shit like this, even comedy, and running, it throws so much at you.
Yeah.
And it's just so, I had the whole conversation with them last week where I'm like, you guys can't yell at me for signing up for this race in December when you're doing what you're doing right now. They just went on a vacation this past week to a place that's known to have good trails so they could hike and work out. Didn't even have a TV in their room. They're intense people. They dropped so much weight in the last few weeks, and when they set their mind to something, they get it done.
Are your parents both like that?
Yes. My mom's ripped up right now, great shape.
Wow.
And she got back into running. She got some shin splints, but like she tried running again. I remember my mom running when I was in high school, and maybe even younger. Like there was a period my mom got pretty into running. She would always go through these phases, but it was always there, for good or bad. I mean, there was a lot of dieting that they could have been healthier about. I think, like, my mom would do these apple diets where she'd eat nothing but 6 apples a day. And like when you're a fat kid and you see that, like it fucks with you,
Sure.
I always
whatever
say, like,
the diet fad is at that time, she was like,
the best thing young parents could be is fat, because their kids will rebel against them and be skinny. I had 2 fit parents. So I rebelled against them the other way.
So what's going on with your comedy right now? You've got a tour going on. Where are you headed after the Den?
Oh man. Where am I now? I think I'm in. Oh, the New York Comedy Festival's in a few weeks. So my wife and I, who's also a comedian, we're doing a show there together. We went through these phases of touring together, and we still have some dates together. But I think we've both come to the realization that we need to separate that. You know, it was fun
You
while
did it for a while,
we
right?
did it for longer than we were anticipating. I know we had it. We thought we would do it leading up to the wedding and then after the honeymoon, and then we kept it going because venues wanted us to keep it going. And you know, it at a certain point, it doesn't. You can't combine everything in life.
Sure.
So that's something that like has been another weird thing to navigate. Like that's been so different for me. Is like
It was
navigating
one of the most
that.
curious things. I was like, how is that? You know, I'm sure it's got pros. What are the pros? What are the cons?
I've gotten to see the world with my wife. We've gotten to do, shows in Australia, and I believe we did 21 cities around Europe or something crazy. Like, no, that's an exaggeration. It had to be less than that.
But still.
But we did like crazy places, Madrid and Belfast, Dublin, London, Glasgow, Scotland. I mean, we've been to some pretty cool freaking places. Italy, we performed in Milan. So that's the positive, right? But yeah, maybe in due time I could dig more into this, but there's
we need a whole nother podcast.
There's a lot of fights that present themselves and a lot of navigation around it. And then you create an LLC, right? So because that makes more sense. And then, my wife does brand deals. I don't do brand deals. I'm not, I don't have the same following that she does. I have good numbers, but not what she does. So like, and brands are more inclined to work. Females do better with that. No one's going to pay me to dye my hair a different color, So like, but then you start to get into these situations where she's making a good amount of money from brand deals and it's being paid to the LLC. So then you have to have those real talks with each other. Like, how do you feel about this?
And is it 50-50, but you're the one pulling this?
That's been the one negative is like, I'm a very I like communication. I can have hard conversations. My wife is slowly coming along to that. She doesn't like communicating as much, but we're in a place now where we genuinely do need to communicate because we combined so much stuff and we got into these sticky situations.
Yeah.
And we each made that choice to do it, and it was the right choice for a while, but then we've also had the wherewithal to know it's no longer the right choice.
Yeah.
And then you pull back and you get to say, we did this thing. We know we have this skill. We got to a point where we could go on stage together and riff a completely brand new 20 minutes each night just with each other. And that's amazing to know we have that skill. But you also don't want to lose the skill of doing an hour. You don't want to lose the skill of running a 45 to 60 minute set, of feeling like you have your own autonomy.
Right.
Like that's not as big of a deal for me because I have running. My wife doesn't have running. My autonomy is my running. That is when I feel most like myself and when I'm on stage. It's two very similar feelings. If I'm running a 6-minute mile downhill or I'm crushing on stage, I feel like I'm floating out of my body in both times, And so it's just learning each other and learning how it works best. So like that's both a pro and a con. I feel like it's really helped me grow as an adult, kind of. And I've had a great time doing it. And now it's cool because, like, I think it's fun to light the fire under your ass and be like, let me remove, like, because I'm a terrible promoter. I don't post on social media. And I'm now learning from going on the road by myself. Oh, I was selling 100 tickets a show and she was selling 150 a show or 200 a show. And like, I do see where I need to pick up the slack now. And I kind of like that because I like a challenge. So now I get to see where I'm slacking in areas and now I could try to improve this. And the dates recently has been, me realizing like where I need to pick up the slack. And I see it like, sure, she might not be a runner like me and spend hours running, but she does spend hours creating content and making flyers and posting about her shows and streaming. So I'm
doing shout out videos.
Yeah. So I look at her and I see that and I get some inspiration from that. And now I know like I have the blueprint. It's cool to have a partner who is very successful in ways that you're not, because I have a blueprint to how it can be done.
I wonder though, it's like if that part of it must be hard, the sort of self-promotion aspect, if it doesn't feel like genuine, if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you feel like how is that with like if you're because it does seem like it's such an, some people, they love to do it, right? They
Yeah.
love to like pick up the phone and be like, what's up? I'm coming to, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
coming to Chicago, and make up some funny shit. Others just want to like, they don't want to do that stuff because they have to.
Yeah.
They want to just show up and do their work, do their art.
Yeah, that is ideally, in a perfect world, I would get myself to a situation where I just show up and do my art, but you have to, there's what you want and then there's what you have. And what I have is, I'm in an interesting place where I almost feel like I need to promote harder than someone who has the same following than me, because do I have hundreds of thousands of followers? Yes. Are a lot of them on the autism spectrum to points where they don't want to come to a show? Mm-hmm. Also true. Some of my biggest fans will send me DMs and be like, I love you, you're my favorite person, but I couldn't imagine sitting in a crowded room. And then I'm messaging them back, well, you're not coming, so it ain't a crowded room, you can come, like it ain't gonna be that loud. We could all fucking have a good time. But like, it's also that navigating of understanding the audience that I curated. The amount of messages I get being like, is that show going to be live streamed? Like, I would love to see it, but I don't want to go. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, that is my reality. My reality is I need to work harder to get people to come out and see me. So like, sure, I don't want to promote, and I've sucked at it lately. I've been really bad. I mean, I've been going through some shit in my life. It's a whole other, it is what it is, but I'm learning now that I need to get better at it.
Yeah. And maybe you could use the running to kind of blend in with that build that whole community strong.
That's too, what I am slowly starting to. I'm trying to get comfortable with posting my running on Instagram and not caring if people don't want to see it because they follow me for stand up, or if I lose a few followers, whatever. Because at the end of the day, I have been running an ultra marathon where I've been throwing up in the bushes and a girl runs past me and she's like, "You're Dan LaMorte."
Totally. No, I mean, it makes sense to me. What do I know? But like, it makes sense to me to cross them. I mean, why can't and bring the jokes, bring the running jokes into the, and bring the jokes into the running.
Absolutely.
Fuck it.
Because we're in a time where you need to stand out, unfortunately, on social media, and it's so silly because humans, if you break it down in like a spiritual level, we stand out as is. You stand out just being who you are. You're different than everyone else, but now we're told we need to really fucking stand out. And when I look at that, I go, hey, there is no other professional stand-up comedian who is actually putting in the work as a runner like I am. So it is on me to find a way to combine these worlds, because I think good things could happen. Like, and not even from like a financial and a fame aspect, but just from like cool interactions. Like the last race that I did, it was this 32-mile mountain race, and the last climb is like they call it SOB climb. It's a brutal hill. It's like 2,000 feet of climbing over the course of like a mile and a half. At one point, it's like hands, like 3-point climbing. And there's this guy sitting on a rock just looking so depleted, like, and he's just not looking happy. And I get next to him, and he looks up, and he was just like, oh my God, Dan LaMorte. He's like, that's his, and he put his poles in the ground and stood up, and then it's like he got a burst of energy.
Hell
and he started walking with me. And then, I ended up running ahead of him, but I waited at the finish line and I saw him and we exchanged info. We follow each other online now. We're buddies. Like,
that's the best.
And that did something for me. Like, it was so cool to like, maybe it is still the ego, but it had nothing to do with my work. It had nothing to do with my comedy. It was just him seeing me getting after it as the life that I've lived inspired him to get off that rock in that moment. Maybe it was the comedy. Maybe he wanted to hike with a comedian that he followed online or some shit. I don't know. But the life that I lived up until that point got that guy to get up and get his ass moving in the race. And to me, that's when the ball started rolling in my head to where like I need to drop this. I'm scared to post about it so much online, but it is such a big part that I need to find that.
Have you ever done any motivational?
I was booked for one and I
events?
Canceled.
Okay.
Because I got nervous. I made up some bullshit excuse. I'm a big canceler. I did not go. I told them like with due time, but I was booked to do like a pretty prominent running event.
You didn't feel like you were qualified or prepared?
I was like, I didn't think I was qualified, and I didn't even know how to go about creating something where you don't need to get laughs and like actually
Totally.
speaking. But then I realized I could have gotten laughs. That could have been the thing that I did.
Yeah.
One of my big regrets is not taking that, but I do think currently I'm in a better place to be a speaker than I was then.
Yeah.
Like there's just more experience and more failure, and I think failure
Yeah.
is what makes a good speaker.
I mean, I think, look,
And also there's a lot of freaking money in
there's
motivational
good,
speaking,
apparently,
man.
you know, but like, I mean, I think that's the thing is like, there's no shame in not showing up to something. I mean, I've certainly been there. I think it's just whether or not you keep trying, you know, if that's what you want, you know?
Yeah. You know what? Tonight will be the first motivational. We'll put some hot coals down, and we'll make the audience walk across.
Burn people's feet off.
Isn't that Tony Robbins who does the hot coal thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. We'd fuck it up though, and people would actually like fry their feet off, and we wouldn't get shut down.
Accidentally set a fire.
We burned the theater down.
The other night, the Stand Comedy Club in New York City had their Halloween party, and it was really loud in there. So I was just standing outside, and I saw this guy. They have like a flower pot in front, like this big wooden like cylinder, and the guy put out his cigarette in the flower pot, kept walking, whatever. And I'm standing there, and I start to see it smoking, and I'm like, oh shit, it's on fire. It's on fire. And then I go into the comedy club, and I go, the flower pot's on fire. They're like, a flower pot can't go on fire. I'm like, God, I'm telling you. The comedy club is going to catch on fire if you don't go out there and figure that out. And then they go out there and all of the soil is now on fire and burning and smoke is going. And I don't know why I just got that story in my head. I guess because of the coals.
Because the coals.
But the soil was so dry that for some reason he put the lit cigarette in there and it just lit up the soil.
That's crazy.
And so I kind of.
You saved the club,
saved,
man.
yeah. They should give me some more stage time next month.
Yeah, they should, dude. Well, speaking of stage time, we got to get you on the Den stage soon.
Shit. Yeah.
No, thanks for talking. I mean, we kind of blew past like 30 minutes past what we were supposed to do. So thank you for your time. It's been.
There's enough there for a good interview then.
Hell yeah. No, I feel like we could do another hour and a half easy.
Me too.
It's been fascinating talking to you. I too, you know, look, I wish we'd have gotten a little more into your comedy because I'm a huge fan. But maybe we'll save. I mean, we did touch on it a little bit. We'll save some of that for next time. I'd also love to talk to you about running because I'm trying to get into it more myself as well. But for now, thank you. And where can people find out? Like find all about you?
Just my name on Instagram, Dan LaMorte, on whatever platform, Facebook, Instagram, my website, danlamorte.com. And then all the tickets are on that Punch Up website, and Punch Up Live, I think. Yeah. But you could also get tickets on my website. I don't like to give anyone full control.
I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, just put in the name, you'll find it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's just so fun.